Hi guys, it's Aegis here, and today I'm going to talk about a Vanguard event that happened in Hong Kong, which is the first Hong Kong VMC. So the event was on September 22nd, and the shop is at Beehive. So it's a kind of a new car shop that opened in Hong Kong. And since they are having a big environment and there are some good chairs, and they also have like live ability and recording ability, so they are selected to hold the first Hong Kong VMC. And it's quite exciting because usually when we are looking at VMC, it's all happening in Japan, and you can only grab your the first place Dragon Overlord VMC version through there, and you can see shops in Japan are selling them for quite expensive price, but of course it's the first place price, so it's expected to be expensive. So the total available entries was 64. What I believe is there's a lot more people actually try to register, but we only got 64 spots, so only 64 players can actually play on the day. And I did went to the shop qualifier before the actual event, that I think is the first place can also get into the actual VMC. And then of course I went to the VMC day as well, but I'm not as a player, but I went there to try to look around the environment and trying to help people there, because they have found, for example, found judges, found people to do commentary, doing live, etc. So I'm also one of the helper, even though I'm not very active, because I'm not actually that active in the Hong Kong Vanguard community, but I did try to help out, looking around and see what's needs to be helped. And I did one of the live coverage through the Vanguard Hong Kong group page, so I will also put their page in the description below, so you can visit them, even though they are using Cantonese, using Chinese to just make posts. But if you are looking for some of those like coverage, like deck list, deck ratio, this kind of thing, you can also visit the page. And if they need more help, I will be helping them as well. So get back to the VMC, as we have 64 players, and when we look at the clan ratio, the number of players using different clans is quite interesting. So I'm going to read through the list right now, that is not in any order. So let's start with the first one is Murakumo. We got 9. Then we have 7 Pale Moon, 3 Narukami, 3 Gold Paladin, 2 Tachikase, 2 Aqua Force, 1 Nova Grapplers, 13 Shadow Paladins, 3 Dimension Police, 3 Spike Brothers, 2 Royal Paladins, 2 Kagero, 1 League Joker, 1 Bermuda, 6 Dark Irregulars, 4 Mega Colony, and 2 Grand Boo. So I think the clan missing here is Gear Chronicle, Angel Feathers, and then Great Nature, Neo Nectar. So far in Genesis, I think that's all. If there's some missing, then you'll find it out yourself, I think. So just based on the list, I think Shadow Paladin and Murakumo is kind of obvious, and also Pale Moon, because they are strong and people know that. Like Shadow Paladins, you withstand your Blaster Dark, and you place Blaster Dark to get a lot more force marker to give pressure, and Shadow Paladins is always meant to be a stable deck, so it's expected why they get like the highest ratio of players using it. Murakumo, it won the Japanese VMC, so it's kind of obvious it is a strong deck. With Hyuga joining the game, making the same name mechanics even more crazy. You can get a lot of power pumps, and Hyuga will help you to remove your opponent's field. And of course, Hyuga itself can also call something out. So, and also with Shirayuki, that minus the whole field, basically the front line, front row, helps a lot in defending and also attacking. And since it's a XL clan, so that as long as you minus your opponent's power during your turn, every single attack that you make is going to make a big difference. For Paramount, compared to before, you might not have a lot of hands because you need to keep calling stuff and then use those to call stuff from. So now you just basically counterblast 2 and discard a card to call a whole field, and then at the end of the turn with another Grade 3, put all things back to the soul and draw cards, and also guarantee you a Grade 3 if you already have 1 in soul, so you can ride again and gain another XL marker to draw another card. So stable, high power, easy to rush. That's why Paramount is strong. And also quite interesting to see there's like 6 Dark Irregulars, because even I think the Brewfast deck is strong. I've played it, I've even made a deck profile about it, but I never thought the ratio would be that high, because there's like always a Narukami on tournament stage and they will wipe your board. Shadow Paladins can sometimes wipe your board or make you keep guarding. Murakumo will clear your field. Pale Moon will let you discard all your cards from your hands for guarding early game, so it's quite hard to fight against that. You need to be very clever, but we got 6, so that's, I think, is impressive. Mega Colony, Tachikase, and Spike Brothers, they got like 2, 3, and 4, which I think is normal, because Spike Brothers is a new deck. It's not bad, just not as competitive, or you need to be very clever on it. So we do have some people trying to play the new deck, so that's fine. And Tachikase is just strong if you manage to play it carefully, because they can just do like first player, first right Grade 3 and win the game if you do it correctly. And then Mega Colony, if you just look at like store prices on like Yurute, you can see Mega Colony from these 3 clans is like the highest, because Ganin Koleo is kind of a interesting tech and sometimes change the game, but Mega Colony is a little bit hard against Rush, so I do hope Mega Colony could climb up, and if I'm going to join the VMC, I actually would pick a Mega Colony and play. So, but in the end, it didn't go that high, but I'm happy to see Mega Colony did get some like people using them. And then some other interesting things is like Aqua Force in Dimension Police, which I'm not quite expecting to see those decks, because DP again is not a bad deck, but compared to others, it's not as stable, I think. So, well, it just happened, and I did see those players are playing them very carefully and playing it well. So they didn't get to top 8, but their winning rate is not that low. Aqua Force, I'm a little bit surprised as well, even though like if you do it on the right timing, it's great, but it's so easy to get stopped by triggers. So kind of interesting to see that. One Nova Grapplers, nothing much to say. Royal Paladins, usually we do see people using those, and only one Bermuda is also surprising me, because even though you get like limitations, but Bermuda itself isn't that bad. So I did see more Bermuda's appearance on the shop qualifier compared to the final. So quite interesting to see only one. So after looking at those top 8 lineup, the 64 lineups ratios, let's talk about the top 8 after 5 rounds of sweets. So we have 1 Kagero, 2 Pale Moon, 1 Dark Irregulars, 1 Gold Paladins, 2 Shadow Paladins, and 1 Murakumo. If I remember right, Shadow Paladins and Pale Moon are the 2 clans that have players get full wins. So according to the rules that I heard on the day, correct me if I'm wrong, so they first the clan with full wins, they will of course get one of each player to top 8, and then the rest they need to use a way to draw the other player to get into the top 8. Instead of like you might see 4 Shadow Paladins and 4 Pale Moons, now you can only see 2 max. And then the other clans that only got 1 loss will just get in to top 8. In my opinion, I think this kind of setup is great, because with the current reset up of the game after we enter the V series, we actually see a lot of clans being available to be competitive. So that is something that we are happy to see. So in a top 8 environment, if we can actually see different clans fight against each other, it's better to see a lot of mirror matches, that depending on who go first, if the hand size is the same, or maybe if it's a going second better clan, then who goes second will just decide the game. But now we can see different clans fighting, and then how they interact with each other. Actually, that's one of the top 8 matchup that I really want to do coverage myself. Is a Dark Irregulars fighting Kagero, which is quite interesting, the game. But since it's on the live table on the day, so I actually cannot at the same time do live, because I would just contradict with their live, and I don't want to do that. So I did help the Vanguard Hong Kong group page to cover another match, and I can also put the link there, so you can see all their lives and just go have fun and see the matches. If I get the permission later, then I can also try to do my own coverage, because when they're doing live, the coverage is in Cantonese, but if I'm doing it, I will of course be in English. So when I next get to the store, then I will ask them and see if I can just borrow the footage to do that. But I won't be able to get the original video because they just do it live and they didn't keep any records as far as I know. So there we go. And so after the top 8 cuts, then we are entering the top 4, which is Paramount, Murakumo, Dark Regulars, and Shadow Paladin. So I did put a tweet on Twitter that it is interesting because our first Hong Kong Vanguard VMC top 4 is actually a full team of AL4, which could be coincidence, but at the same time it's also meaning those 4 clans is really strong. And then our final rankings is the first place is the Paramount, second place is the Murakumo, third place is the Dark Regulars, and fourth place is Shadow Paladin. Which, if you do have time to check out the final match, is quite interesting, because at the moment when you see the Paramount player is fighting with the Murakumo player and they are like trying to push each other and couldn't actually push through each other, but suddenly the Paramount player, when he drive check, he got like 2 front triggers and totally changed the game, and he got the title. So this is something interesting to see as well, even though you might say he might be just winning by triggers, but that is how well a player planned their deck so that they can make that happen. Because if you don't put that much front triggers in the deck, you won't be able to see that. You might just see 1 front and then 1 crit, something like that. But we will talk about the deck list afterwards, so you can also see what's in there. But basically that's all about the Vanguard VMC in Hong Kong. I think a lot of players are excited because they can get their hands into promos like Maha, of course the Overlord, and then the Royal PG, which is still worth something, and for Royals players that wants to make the full deck shiny, that's the chance. So it's interesting, and I think the next time when we have another VMC, it will be with the Alfred instead of Overlord. So at least we get 1 Overlord that comes to Hong Kong, even though 1, I can't get it because I'm not a player and I probably won't be using a very competitive deck. Even the Mega Colony is great, but still might not be that competitive because I haven't been joining tournaments for quite a while. I'd rather just having fun making interesting decks, and sometimes win, sometimes lose, instead of pushing myself in a competitive environment, even though I starting to having the mood to do a lot of those now, but we will see in the future. So let's talk about the top 3 deck list. So the third place is the Dark Irregulars. So I will put the list image like here, so you can actually see the lineups. This one is taken by me, so I think it's quite clear here. So what we have is, first we have 4 Bufas, we have 4 Death Anchor, we have 4 number of Terra, and then 1/5 Elemental. So there's like 13 Grade 3s, which is kind of common right now. And then for Grade 2s, we only have 4 variants, Heartleg, 4 Emblem Master, and that's it. And then for Grade 1, there's 4 Alluring Succubus, 4 variants Killer Tail, 4 yellow bolts, and then of course we have the starter, and triggers we have 8 crit, 4 draws, and 4 heals. So looking at this deck is, of course, it's different to the one that I make, because the one that I make didn't involve the number of terror. Instead of using the other one that stays a longer game, but this deck is a more faster way to run the deck, and I like it. So the few cards that I have not considered using is, of course, Number of Terror and then Alluring Succubus. But Alluring Succubus is quite important in this deck because you do want to do 2 things. One, get your Grave Freeze as much as earlier, as fast as possible, so that you can do the correct ride, and also squeeze your deck so that you can defend it. And at the same time, you do want to put Grave Freeze into your soul, because for example, if you are going to ride a Brewfast, then you can directly use that skill, because you put 1 in there and then you search for 2 more or maybe 3 more, depending on which Grave Freeze. For example, if you already put Death Anchor into soul, then you can book 3, get 1 in hand and put 2 in soul. Or if you got Brewfast in soul and ride a Brewfast, then you can get another Brewfast in hand and put 1 in soul, so that you can easily get 3 copies of the same card when you first ride, which will help you to get the variance hard leg skill goes off easier. And then Killer Tail, we don't have to talk much, because as long as you get enough copy, she will just keep counter charging for you. And Yellow Bolt is a good soul charging source and can hit grade 2 by its own. Album Master is also another good way to fuel your soul with good quality. And about the Number of Terror is actually quite interesting, because it did remind me of something about Brewfast, because when we look at Brewfast, we always think of to kill opponents' regards to gain their power and gain their crit. But then we always forget that Brewfast can also kill your own units, and that's where Number of Terror shines here, because his first skill is when placed, if your soul has 10 or more cards, this card gets 10k power and 10k shield until end of turn. So you can just kill a Number of Terror if you play him on the turn to gain 22k power. This is something that I never thought of, but when I see the DI player use the deck and do it this way, I was like, I can actually do that and push the power through. And also, when Number of Terror attacks the Vanguard, if your soul has 10 or more, then you can put 1 of your Rika into soul and draw 2 cards soul. It also helps you draw cards, so it's great. Feel your soul, draw your cards, help your Brewfast gain power, and of course, Number of Terror itself can also attack, which is another good thing, because for example, if you ride a Death Anchor, gain a lot of souls, get the power. If you need to use Number of Terror, you already have like 10 souls, so you're already gaining like 20k. And Number of Terror is there. You swing with Death Anchor, give all the power to Number of Terror, and then put your Brewfast on top by Death Anchor skill. Then you can choose to kill your opponent's regards when you attack with your Vanguard first to push through, or you can attack with your Number of Terror first and then kill that Number of Terror with Brewfast skill, and then try triggers and push through again, which is quite interesting and also a way to win, and can be fast because you have variance hard legs, so they will also do enough card restrictions. Your opponents can't just drop a PG, they need to discard a card for the cost of PG, and they also need to discard 2 more cards. So interesting build, and of course I like it. So after that, let's move on to the Murakumo deck. So I think it's more like a common build. So the lineup is 4 Hyuga, 3 Shirayuki, 3 Tanga Noodle, 2 Hakifog, 1 Dansetsu Anak, and then 4 Jakotsu Girl, 3 Fushimi, 3 Meomaru, 4 Million Rats, 4 Rainy Madame, 2 Sukerok, and then triggers you get 6 crit, 2 front row, draw 4 heals, and your starter. So it's kind of a standard build, I think, but you really need to be very clever on how you play the deck, because once you turn all your units to Hyuga, then for example you can activate Tanga Noodle skill to draw, you can make use of Hakifog to get power, Dansetsu will also help you to get power, Shirayuki help you minus your opponent's power, and then you just keep using like Jakotsu Girl, Rainy Madame to keep finding your souls, finding your Shirayuki. I don't see the player use Meomaru skill that often, but he will use it when he feels he needs. So I think there's nothing much to talk about this deck, because if you do want a more in-depth on how this deck runs, I think you can find it a lot of like players actually did that. So the basic ideas of this Murakumo deck is using Hyuga's ability to cause the units you need on the field, turn them all to Hyuga, and then you gain your power and push through, as long as they are all with the same name. One card that we can talk about is the Fushimi. I did see a lot more players actually starting to use that for a few reasons. So one is you can give a unit a ability to actually attack the back row. I don't think it have to be Fushimi himself, because when placed you can choose one of your unit, and until end of turn you can attack back row. So it's a very good counter against Shadow Paladins, because they always call an main at the back, and the main will keep calling the mains, calling the Black Wings, and also the 5k grade 2 promo. I think that's all for now. Yeah, maybe if they got something else then they do. But then now you can use Fushimi early game. When you ride a grade 2, you ride a Fushimi, give the skill, and just snipe the mains, and they usually won't be guarding that. So after you're getting rid of the mains, then your opponents will need to find a way to get another main, or else they will just need to keep calling stuff from hand if they want to retire some stuff. Also, Fushimi can get 5k power if you have 4 or more Rigas during your turn, so another way to gain power and push through, which is quite helpful actually. actually. So let's get into the first place deck, which is Pale Moon Silverthorn. So the lineup is as follows: 4 Lukier, 4 Dorian, 2 Golden Beast Tamer, 4 Rising Dragon, 4 Lydian, 4 Shada, 4 Irina, 4 Romy, 3 Breathing Dragon, 1 crit, 7 fronts, 4 draws, and 4 heals. So again, 7 fronts is actually something that helps the player win the game. And another key thing to look at is 2 Golden Beast Tamer. I think most of the Pale Moon Silverthorn player aren't using Golden Beast Tamer because they just think Lukier and Dorian is going to do the job. But if you know your environment have a lot of clever players, when you bring a Pale Moon deck out, and if it's a Silverthorn, then you will of course know your opponent will just only give you 1 empty counterblast, even though you can still make good use of it, but it will just make your Lukier kind of useless. But if you have a Golden Beast Tamer, what you can do is to ride her, of course, and then her skill only costs you 1 counterblast and 1 card from hand to soul, and then you can call 2 units from soul. And if you have enough units, which you usually will do, then you can give 3 key powers to your front row. So that at the same time, because you're calling 2 units from soul, Lukier plus 10k power can also be activated. So this can help you to push through and win the game, give you another option. But usually if you're clever enough in another way, then you always put stuff back to your soul in time, so your opponents have to attack you, and then you will always have 2 open counterblast for her skill. But as a backup, sometimes that didn't happen, then you always need another plan to fight the game, and Golden Beast Tamer can do the job. And the rest of the deck, I think, is quite explaining itself. Dorian help you to draw and put units to soul and guarantee you another grade 3 if you have 1 in soul. Rising Dragon, Lydian, gain power, and then the great ones help you to reveal. The Breathing Dragon helps you to set up another attack. For example, with Lukier, you can just attack with Lukier with this boosted, and then use Breathing Dragon skill, put a Lukier back and call another Lukier out, so that you can still have a 22k attacker. And by doing that, you can test your opponent's hand. If they want to guard their card, if they don't have enough guard power, they will take it, and then you use your Lukier Vanguard to attack opponent's Vanguard and try to get front triggers, so that all your front row units already gaining power gets more power further, and then you can win the game bit by bit. So I think that's all for the deck list. Of course, you should all see them, like all the pictures that are taken and someone's helped to take in this video, so you can see that. Overall, I think it's quite interesting, even though I couldn't see Overlord and directors get to like the final table, but I'm still happy to see those decks actually get into top 8, and I'm quite surprised to see Kagero to gain the top 8, because compared to all other clans that help withstand stuff, Overlord's cost is actually too high, and the player is actually playing the end build instead of the grades, so the cost to withstand is a lot harder, and you need to be really good at Kagero in order to fight against other clans. Yeah, so I think that's all I have to say for the VMC Hong Kong. Again, it's a interesting experience, and I wish they just be able to keep running it every year, and if possible more than once per year. It can be at different shops, it can be at the same shop, but I do want to see more and more, and I try to get involved as much as possible so that I can keep records and spread out how the environment in Hong Kong does, because I think in the past it's quite hard to actually do that, and we did see different coverage in Europe, in US, in Japan, many places, but in Hong Kong, as we are in a small place, if we aren't doing the job to spread out the news, it's hard to get to others. So that's what I'm trying to do, and hopefully I can keep this work going and let the world know how competitive some Hong Kong players are, and actually they are always traveling to Japan, and sometimes they just get into those different tournaments and fight, and sometimes they actually get some good results. But again, if we are not trying to help out and spread out those information, no one will know. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's kind of new, but it also takes me some time to get prepared for this, because I don't want to make it too bad. I do want to know all the cards in the deck, and of course I did get some busy schedule that slow down the schedule of my different videos. So again, I hope you like this kind of news or analysis or whatever you want to call it. It's my first time doing it, so do let me know your comments, how you feel about that, what extra you do want to know. You can always comment down below and ask me, and if I know the answer, I will reply in the comments. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.